Following the last video, it's rekindle our memories of childhood. I mean, we grew up predominantly in the 80's, and in a lot of respects it wasn't good for us, but in other ways it was, because we had a massive playground in old houses to run through and place things to find, just of exploration. All I said, the old garages, building fires, building dens, you know, and we were blessed by the fact that mobile phones weren't invented then, you know, and I think a lot of the kids now have completely lost out. Plus like everywhere's been built on. There's no old houses now. I mean,
everything's fenced off as well, so...
We were little bastards, I mean... Can you actually believe... Wait for the fucking George and Mildred to go past. Can you actually believe that building sites back in the day weren't fenced off?
They're wide up,
and they used to leave the tools on site. Am I right in thinking that? Yeah. They would actually... When we were growing up, no building site was fenced off. You could walk on a building site, as kids did. And I remember walking to building sites, pushing walls over what was freshly built.
Remember jumping off scaffolds?
I never did that, but there were some of the braver kids would jump off the scaffolding into like a skip of sand. And this was the childhood of the 80's. You know, I remember people throwing house bricks at my head. I mean, perhaps I've turned it as they have. There was Lee Hodson once, well, Darren Jones. There was a big mound of old rubble where Labour Club was. There used to be some houses at the back of it, the bungalows now. I remember he was stood on the top of this big pile of rubble and brick, and he just threw a brick and it landed on top of my head. Now look, and that happened about 3 occasions. Lee Hodson threw a brick at my head. It might have been 2, I'm not sure there was another one. But that was the rough and tumble childhood. I mean, you know, now kids have fucking helmets on when they're riding their bikes, and
exactly.
You know, kids are wrapped in cotton wool. And
I remember, sir, I don't know if you did this, when there was vacant properties, when they did a big clearance area. The idea was get rid of all slums. So these houses that were empty, we'd gone into them, we broke into them as kids, because these would just be thinly boarded up, a very poor mixture of cement bricking them up. So we'd eventually get into them, and we'd knock top window out, drag mattresses, all old mattresses from houses, throw them out and pile them up, and you'd be jumping out of them doing what we called a kenny at the time. Do you remember that? Here's kenny.
Or a spazzy.
Yeah.
I was at the bath. I was a spazzy done at the baths, which was like,
yeah,
you kind of jump, you throw yourself in it like a, yeah. In the 80's, there was no political correctness.
Yeah, and it's a bit further thinking back. You thought to yourself, how none of us come a cropper is amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
But like, it sounds so old to say kids today.
It's right.
You know what I mean? You know, but it really was a case of it was very rough and tumble.
Well, I think to what I was doing when I was my son's age now, which is 6 going in for 7, and I was doing that. I was doing kennies out of these old houses. Yeah. And then once the houses had disappeared and the building sites popped up, we'd move on to there, wouldn't we? No, I wouldn't let him out playing, you know. I mean, we run it. The risk, you were going in old houses, there could have been glue sniffers or anything in there.
There was quite a few occasions I had close brushes with paedophiles. 3 occasions I escaped from paedophiles, so it's a situation of there for the grace of God, you know what I mean? Things could have turned out differently. I could have got molested and my life could have taken all fucking...
Yeah, you'd be carrying that baggage with you to your grave.
You know, and but there was definitely like wild days in a certain respect.
Do you ever, would you say, and I'm not saying it because we lived through it, but I don't look at kids today with the mobile phones and all the Gucci gear and everything else that they have and think, God, I wish I was young again, and I wish I'd got the childhood. I'd rather have the childhood I had.
It's sad, isn't it? You know what I mean? There's nowhere for them to build ends. There's no old houses for them to play, you know. There's not a lot for them to fucking do, only hang around shops and just...
make a nuisance of themselves.
Yeah, and these dickheads in balaclavas, they're pulling wheelies in the fucking road, and who obviously just want attention, really. They've obviously ignored at home.
Do you find when you see somebody doing that, and you know, they've come past you and they're deliberately doing this wheelie past you, is there a sick part of you that thinks, I wish it could go from under you?
Of course, yeah, I mean... They just, it's just a vying for attention in it kind of thing, you know. But yeah. But
Yeah, or they suddenly turn around with a mobile phone or the fucking boombox or whatever, and put some totally inappropriate music on as they go past some old lady for trying to shock her.
Well, it's just makes the past more appealing. It makes the past more of a sacred place, and perhaps it actually was at times. You know, it wasn't all, you know, it wasn't all great.
No,
you know, but the play.